Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. To start, I love so many moving parts of this movie because I keep saying how I'm a comedy nerd and I also am a nerd for like the most dangerous games. I remember
Mm,
in school and becoming obsessed.
this is the perfect movie for you.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the Venn diagram.
Yeah.
So I do love though how there are so many different kind of separations of these characters, and the through line is obviously Jake Johnson's character. But for you, when you get to come in as kind of this figure where we keep hearing about his relationship that ended, and then you get to actually meet her, what was the joy for you of getting to like play that part? Because I feel like you're so good at it and you make it so different every time you kind of play this woman who comes in later and like is an impactful part of some guy's life. But it's so, so good in this movie.
Thank you. That's nice to hear. I mean, listen, when Jake calls you and tells you, "Hey, this whole movie, I'm obsessed with you. Would you like to do this part?" You say yes. But mostly, I just am such a fan of Jake's, and I think he's just so talented and um, I was like and being an actor who has directed myself and like I'm a champion for anybody who wants to direct, but especially other people where I'm like, "Oh, you can totally do this. Like, do it." And writing and directing and starring in a movie is a real feat. It's really hard. And so I was like, I really believed in him and that I wanted to be a part of it. And I think he did an amazing job. So yeah, it was really fun to do, and it's I mean, what a great gig to do one day on a movie and then like your name gets talked about all throughout it. How fun. I want to do that over and over again.
Well, and I, like you said, I've been asking everyone about how that process was with having Jake both in those scenes and then directing. A lot of people said he directed like from the scene and would be like, I like this, like do this.
Hmm.
Uh, for you though, having done it in the past, what was that experience like watching someone that you know and are friends with kind of go through this thing that you've already done, but also like
Yeah.
process was different.
Well, I will say I didn't know Jake before this. We weren't friends. I'm glad that he knew who I was and asked me to be a part of it. But yeah, we weren't friends. So, I got to meet him and see how he worked in this process, which he may say is very different than when he's just an actor on something. What I really respected about his process in doing this is that we had I mean, like I said, I was basically only in one scene, and we had like two rehearsals for it, where he wanted to know my input for the character, and he really wanted to just kind of get a vibe for it and a feel for it, and work it out so that it felt as real and as lived in as possible. I think it was important for him that this character that he talked about so much in the movie, even though she's only in one scene, like when they finally meet, it feels like there's a history there, and it feels like they do know each other, and they have a shorthand, even though they haven't seen each other in a while. And it was important for him to develop that, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, you're, I think now like the third or fourth person I've talked to who said they like he really wanted to kind of understand where everyone was coming from their character from an actor standpoint. Is that for you when you have a director who is also an actor who kind of understands the actor's process? Is that something that is more interesting for you on a set, or do you like the directors that are completely separated as like they're directors?
No, it's always better when someone A respects you and what you do, but B, I my advice for every director, even if they have no interest in acting, is to take an acting class because you kind of get what you're asking people to do if you've been put in that place before. So, and I think as a director, I think your job is mainly consists of two things, and they're both very important. And one is having an opinion, and two is knowing how to communicate it efficiently and well. And I would say not every director is good at both of them. Some directors are good at none of them. So yeah, I think if you have the experience of being an actor, it's beneficial always, and it certainly was in this movie.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but there was someone who recently said it's weird that part of directing is taking like photography, but they don't stop and make them also take acting classes. And
Yeah,
that was very interesting because I was an acting major in college. And I was like, I do think that's very interesting that like directors don't have to think
of
about.
course. They should, and a good film school will make them take
Yeah.
acting classes, you know, and I think they should follow up on that. It's very humbling for people who are used to just being like puppet masters to then, you know, be the puppet. It's very humbling, and I think it's very necessary.
I love it. And I do think, this cast is one that I was an improv kid, so I know a lot of everyone in this cast
Hmm.
comes from improv backgrounds, things like that. Were you guys encouraged by Jake and the production to kind of improvise your way through these characters?
Definitely by
Especially with
Jake.
one movie?
Yeah, yeah, definitely by Jake. I think we did have a script, but it was more like let's find it in the rehearsal and then like make it as real as possible. But yeah, we it was a lot of improvising, and I think Jake also will be the first to be like, I don't memorize lines, so I'll just improvise it. Yeah,
I respect that. I was that
yeah,
person. Like, I can figure
yeah,
that out. I
yeah,
have the But with this movie, what I really do love is kind of the balance between the like creepy elements. Like I'm obsessed with Eduardo's character as like the PA and all of the like
yeah,
shows that appear. Like I think they're so funny
yeah.
while being terrifying, mixed with, his family not believing him, his ex-girlfriend kind of being like what is going on with you kind of deal. Do you think that in a movie like this, which is, many people are coming into it being like, oh, I love Jake Johnson, he's so funny, like, do you think that balance of kind of the creepiness with those more humorous moments with the people who know him the best are what makes this movie so kind of appealing for audiences?
I don't know. You know, I think that's a real challenge for an actor like Jake, who's obviously done other stuff besides New Girl, but who is so well known from New Girl, and people really like characterize him as Nick Miller, and you know, it's a blessing and a curse sometimes to have such a popular character in a popular show because people like to put you in a box that they understand. And then when you branch out of that box and you're like, actually I can do these other things, are they still going to like it and are they still going to be on board with you? I do as a viewer. I like seeing people try new things and do new things, and I'm aware and appreciative of artists you know, doing something different. I don't want them to do the same thing all the time, but sometimes you do. You know, like sometimes your favorite musicians like or bands go really branch out and you're like, "No, this new stuff sucks," right? But does it suck or are you just really precious about the old stuff? So I like to give people a chance to do new things. And I mean, Jake is just a comedic genius, you know, but he also, the reason he's a comedic genius is because he plays everything with so much heart and so much real emotion behind it. And I think that that's what this movie has more depth into. And I liked that about it.
Yeah, and I think too with a movie that does, kind of have the balance between not only just the creepy and the humorous, but it has like a real darker side to it as well.
Hmm.
These characters, I think it's a testament to like, actors always know that comedy is harder than drama, but a movie like this kind of shows the audience that same fact that
Well, it's
like
because comedy is drama. It's both, right? There's drama underneath it. And so you're doing two things. You're not just, you know, crying on command. It's funny because it's tragic or whatever it is. And at the end of the day, this movie is about depression in so many ways and about feeling stuck, but because you're making yourself stuck. And I think that there's a lot to explore there. I mean, I always say like life is all those things at once. Life is tragic and funny and weird and absurd. And there are things that happen that no one will believe, and there are things that you just made up. And I really liked that about this movie.
yeah, I love it so much. And like for the last question, I do have to ask because I know like Emily said that she wrote like 5 pages about her character, and then everyone else was like, well, I guess now we all have to do all of this work because like they were like, I got an idea, and then she came with like a novel.
Uh-huh.
But because you have that one scene, you guys have to kind of make it so lived in. Was there anything in the kind of backdrop of her that you made that like didn't make it just screen, but really helped you kind of craft her as a character?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we talked about a lot of things. You know, there was a lot of history there that I'm not sure what even made it into the movie, but they were together for like 11 years. They did the same thing every day, and she really wanted to move on and grow her life. And at some point we talked about like did they have some addiction issues? Did they just kind of I don't know. Were they both feeling stuck? Did she have addiction issues? Did she? And I think what we landed on was that she kept trying to pull him out of this routine and be like, "Hey, like we've been together since we were like 16. Let's do something with our lives." And that he didn't want to. And she kept trying and trying and trying. And that maybe she cheated on him, or maybe she just left him, and he was like, what happened? He was stunned, but it had been years of her trying to move on. And that, at the time that they meet again, she's not at her last straw with him, but she's just like, we've been playing this game for too long. You got to move on. And she might be the only one that really knows how long he's been stuck in this mode. Um, and so there was all of that we talked about, which was really interesting. And also who she became after she broke up with him in the last, year or two, where she's just like gotten her life somewhere that feels like she's moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this movie very much. I'm so excited people have been liking it because
Yeah, me too.
my, my letterbox just keeps getting likes on my review, and I'm like, a bunch of people are watching this. I'm so
Yeah.
happy. But I do have to say before we leave, because every time I talk to anyone who's on Parks and Rec, I say thank you to them because that is my favorite show still to this day. My cat is named Benjamin Wyatt the cat. It is my everything, and so it means a lot talking to you because
Oh, thanks. I mean, it was my favorite show before I was on it, and after I was on it. But so thank you. That means a lot to me, and I also relate to you.
listen, it's still one of the best. It's my comfort.
Yeah.
Put it on
Yeah.
whenever I'm like, I need to watch something, and I put on.
Yeah. I mean, Get on Your Feet is like the best scene of all time. So I get
Yeah, I
you.
just made my
Yeah.
mom go the whole way to We were in California, and I made her come with me to Pasadena, and she's like, "Why are we here?" And I'm like,
To
"This is
see the
Pawnee."
city hall.
Like, "Is this Pawnee?" And she was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
she's like, "My daughter's so weird." I was like, so,
I get it. I get it.
but thank you so much for talking with me. I
Okay,
really
thank you,
appreciate
Rachel. Have a good day. Thank you.
it.